Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our inaugural Dallas Stars franchise mode here in NHL 20. So in last episode we had free agency and we have started up the year number 3 season simulation, and as you can see currently we have a 12-9-5-1 record, and we are actually top in our division with 29 points, just 2 points above of the Blackhawks. But it is a pretty tight race in our division, as it always is, as there's only like 10 points separating here and the last place. So we are going to be already probably making a trade just to try and help us out a bit and maybe give us a better shot at making the playoffs and maybe even helping out our offense a bit. Now, this guy that we're going to be trying to bring in was suggested in the comments, and that is Dave Babbage. Now, Dave Babbage went to the Cup Finals with the Vancouver Canucks in 1994. He's a pretty good offensive defenseman for the most part in his career. I think he had like over 500 points or something like that, and he is on the blocks. So as you can see, 85 overall, top 4 defenseman with 14 points currently in 26 games. In the last 2 seasons, he's put up 121 points combined, so he is a very good defenseman, and I think he should help out our power play unit to an extent. Even though it only says that he is good on our penalty kill lines, we're going to bring him in, and hopefully he helps us out. Also, it makes sense for Vancouver to let him go because even though their defense is completely stacked right now, as you can see in their scratch right now, Bobby Dallas is out with an injury and Dana Merzen is their depth guys. So they could technically play Dana Merzen on their defensive core and it would still look really good. And then also once Bobby Dallas comes back, it will be even stronger. So I don't see them needing Dave Babbage, even though he is a very good defenseman. So we are going to try and trade for him. If I could trade from him from the screen. I think I can, right? No, I can't. I thought it would go trade for Acid, but I guess not. So we're going to try and trade away some roster players in order to get him. Vancouver's wants are very specific, and they don't want a whole lot, which is they want a goaltender prospect and they want picks. So we might have to give up Thomas Vokoun in this deal, and I might be willing to do so because Evgeny Nabokov obviously is the better prospect out of the two. So let's take a look quickly and see if we could make up another trade. So we have to give up a roster defenseman first, and the guy I'm thinking about getting rid of is Molik, because Molik has a bit more trade value than Ludwig, so it could help us out there a bit. And yeah, since I think he would be a better fit in Vancouver than Ludwig. Ludwig is in the last year of his contract, and he's probably going to be retiring soon anyways. I would rather Ludwig go out on a cup-winning team potentially than a team that might make or miss the playoffs, even though Vancouver is doing really well. So we'll trade Smolik to them. And then I was also thinking about it, they might need a depth guy because we have like 2 depth guys at the moment. Stapleton's the better of the 2 options, so we are going to also throw in Keith Acton, who we just signed in free agency, into this deal to see if it would help it out a bit. As you can see, Keith Acton's only played 1 game with us this season, and he's a pretty solid player for like a 3rd, 4th liner player. So we'll see if Vancouver wants to take him at all. And we will also throw in our 2nd round pick for next year because at the moment we don't actually have a lot of draft picks. As you can see, we have our 1st for this year, a 4th, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th. While next year we still have all of our picks. So we're going to give up a 2nd in this deal if we can. I could probably get him for Babbage for a 2nd and a 3rd for next year, but I don't know if I want to do that. Because I definitely need to give up a roster defenseman, or else we're going to have to send like somebody down, I think. So let's see if we can make this deal happen first before we give up an extra pick. Just because I don't know how this team's going to simulate with Babbage in the lineup. So let's see. So Babbage for Smolik, Acton in a 2nd. I think it looks kind of fair, but you never know. With Vancouver, and they're going to reject it. It's based on what they need. So a 2nd, I could probably do a 2nd and a 3rd. I don't really want to give up Vokoun, but at last resort I will give up Vokoun because, like I said, Nabokov is the better of our 2 prospects. So let's try a 2nd and a 3rd for next year. And we'll also throw in Doug Smolik because we need to get rid of a roster defenseman. And I don't really want to have Smolik as a depth guy. So Smolik 2nd and a 3rd for Dave Babbage. Will that go through? What the heck? I didn't mean to do that. I meant to click this. There we go. And it is still rejected. So maybe we have to give up something else in this deal. Like, they don't want a whole lot, which is kind of annoying because they don't want any skaters. They don't want any goalies except for Vokun. So they just want Vokun and picks, pretty much. I could throw in a fourth for this year, but that's leaving us with a first, a fifth, a sixth, and a seventh. But I think we're good prospect-wise in a sense at the moment because we do have two elite centers. So, yeah, I'll give up a four for this year as well. This is going to be risky a bit. And we'll also throw in Doug Smolik still just because we need to get rid of a roster defenseman. Like, maybe I could get rid of Ledyard instead, but Ledyard's been okay this year, I think, in terms of plus-minus. And I don't know how much term does he have. Actually, he has another year left. Maybe I want to throw Ledyard into this deal if this doesn't work. Okay, let's try this. And that is accepted. So, okay, we got Dave Babbage. So, I think we might have gave up a bit too much in terms of picks, but we're trying to win as soon as possible in a sense because I would like to win before 1999 technically. So, yeah, Dave Babbage is now there, and that makes our defensive core one of the best in the entire league probably. So, let's put Dave Babbage in, and he'll also go in on our power play unit. We're kind of turning into the Vancouver Canucks from 94 because we signed Greg Adams in the offseason in last episode, if you guys didn't see that episode. So what we're going to do here is we are going to put Matvichuk down to the top 6. And then I'm going to move, let's see. Yeah, Hatcher down. Let's see how Babbage is on that top pairing. What do we want to do here? Yeah, we'll put Babbage with Zalapsky because Zalapsky is also a good two-way defender, but he's also very physical, and Babbage could get like maybe a lot of open ice because of his hits. So we're going to give Babbage the top line defensive pairing, and then let's go to special teams. We're going to put Dave Babbage on the power play unit as well, and we're going to put Greg Adams as a winger instead maybe. Yeah, we'll put Greg Adams as a winger. Take Neil Broughton off the power play because he's getting kind of old, I think. Yeah, or maybe not. Dean Evason's had he's had an okay season. No, I'll take Dean Evason off the power play, I think. And we'll put in Dave Babbage instead because he's got that good offensive stats, and that actually helps out our power play unit quite a bit. And we'll do the same thing down to here, so we'll let's go like that. Oh, that doesn't look good. Greg Adams and Dave Gagne don't have chemistry. Okay, maybe we will just leave that one the way it is. Or I'll take Zalapsky off and put in Babbage. Because I would like Babbage to get as much time as possible to an extent, even though he is older. Because that guy is pretty good. Okay, yeah, we'll just leave it the way it is now. And we won't give Dave Babbage, I don't think. Oh, he's already on the penalty kill. Okay, never mind. So I think our lineup is pretty solid now because now we have a pretty good offensive core and our defense is also pretty strong. The only problem is our goaltending at the moment because Darcy Wakaluk got injured near the end of last episode and he's not returning till like March, so that's a bit of a problem. But I think our roster is getting better. We might need to make a trade for a goaltender still this year, but I'll leave that till closer to the deadline if possible. So let's continue the season simulation because we're only in December and I would like to get the rest of the season simulated, and then hopefully we make the playoffs this year considering we gave up a lot of picks. We only have our first pretty much this upcoming draft. Okay, so let's go to January the 1st, see how we simulate with Dave Babbage in our lineup. Hopefully he helps us out a bit because I think on that power play that will help us out a bit, like getting Mike Modano and stuff, even going more so because Modano is way over point per game. Like the top line's been doing pretty well. So I think bringing in somebody like Dave Babbage is going to help out our offense a lot. As you could tell with that 6-1 win over the Sharks. But we did let in a lot of goals the game before. This division is a very tough division to play in, so I think by boosting our offense as well, that's going to also give us a better shot to win. As you can see, we've won 5 games in a row, and 5 of our 6 games with Dave Babbage in the lineup, so I think that was a good pickup, at least right now it is. And I don't know if our team status has changed, I'll have to check that. But we are winning games, and we're losing a couple games lately. Tie with Detroit, which is good because Detroit's a very deep team. Like, they somehow won back-to-back Stanley Cups even after losing Sergei Fedorov in free agency. But yeah, I'm liking the way this team is still playing good, actually, without Darcy Wakaluk in net. There's a 7-6 overtime win against Detroit. Damn, Detroit fans must be mad about that. Imagine letting in are scoring 6 goals but losing in regulation. And now Dave Babbage has been injured till January 11th. That's the only thing about bringing in an old guy is he might get injured a couple times. So he's only out for probably like just over a week. But still, that's a bit of a blow. Hopefully Dave Babbage has been putting up points. And yeah, lots of goals for us, this team. Yeah, this team's a really good offensive team, it seems like, this year. 22, 13, 6, and 1. And we're probably still top of our division, I would assume. Mike Modano's up to 50 points in 42 games. Yep, but we're still 5 points above the Germany Eagles, who are in second. Interesting. Okay, let's continue simulating. We'll check player stats at the end of the season just because this episode is going to run long just because of that trade I made at the beginning of the episode. So I apologize in advance if this episode runs to like 30 minutes because that's probably where it's going to end up. Hopefully we continue winning some games or at least getting ties because ties give us at least a point. But if we lose in overtime, then that's not a good thing. You can never be too safe with this division. Because, like I was saying, the Blues are a very good team even because they got Brett Hull. You got, like, Toronto, who's got a really good team like Doug Gilmour. Like, it's crazy how deep this division is. And, like, in real life, I think this division was a very tough division. So, okay, so Babbage is back. Let's actually take a quick look at how Babbage was with us so far. 7 points in 14 games and a +5. Pretty good. Brings in some leadership. Only put up 1 power play point so far, but hopefully he continues to produce with us. But a +5 is definitely helpful, so he's actually playing some good defensive hockey as well for an offensive defenseman. But yeah, that's one thing as well. This team is a bit of an older team, so bringing in a guy that's like the oldest out of every player could kind of bring maybe even more leadership to this group and to the younger players like Anton Lundell. So I think it was a good move for our organization. So thank you for the suggestion. There was the same guy that suggested the last comment. I would probably put it up on the screen earlier in the episode, but I can't remember the guy's name. So Trent Cott's been injured till February the 2nd. That's our second liner or third liner. Hopefully we can win games without him. Okay, we lose to Ottawa somehow, which is really weird because they should be still a pretty bad team at this point in time. We are getting close to 30 wins on the season, and we do have our first trade that's actually popped up. Andre Lomakin, Dave Archbold, and a 4th head to Calgary for 2 first-round picks. Interesting. I actually should be checking for trades because I haven't done that yet. But usually there's not a lot of trades earlier in the year. We should be seeing quite a bit around this point in time. At the deadline, I'll show you guys all the trades again like I did last year. So, Mighty Ducks have fired their head coach, Richard Billick. Okay, so we're 28, 16, 7, and 1, and we're at February the 1st. How is the standings looking? We are first in our division by 5 points still, and Modano is still just over a point per game. He's kind of slowed down a bit since that hot start in the season, but still good enough. Who else is doing really well this year? So we got 63 points. The Flyers have 67. Devils have 64. Montreal's got 68, and the Kings have 66, and the Canucks are still playing good with 64 points. So, yeah, there are some really good teams in the West and in the East. Okay, so let's take a look at if there's been any trades so far, and then we'll sum rate to the trade deadline if we can, and see if there's been any more trades at that point in time. So there was another trade, so Darren Shannon, I think that is, and a 4th and a 5th head to Quebec, actually, as part of that deal. I didn't read oh, no, that was part of a different trade. Head to Quebec from Winnipeg for a 3rd and a 5th. Okay, so it looks like the Quebec Nordiques are making some moves because this is technically the 95-96 season. I don't know if I didn't see if they're in a playoff spot or not because it'd be interesting if they actually go on to win a cup this year, but I don't think they have the team really. Like, they do still have Sakic and Sundin, How is Quebec doing? So Quebec is currently... They are actually they're doing good still, even with those trades they made last season. They're second in their division, so they could end up going on to winning a Stanley Cup this year potentially. But it is going to be hard for them to beat teams like Pittsburgh. So, okay, so let's go another month right to the trade deadline. See if there's any blockbuster trades this year. Like hopefully we see something happen, like maybe Gretzky getting dealt or somebody that you would never expect to get getting dealt. So Trent Klatt is back into our lineup. We got to take out Mike Stapleton and put Trent Klatt back in. There you go. Game against LA, a very tough team. And we lose to them 4-3 in regulation, so that's not good. But I wasn't expecting us really to win because Gretzky's probably tearing it up this year. Come on, boys, let's start winning some games. And Darcy Wakaluk is back, so we're going to have to send somebody down to the minors, which is Nabokov. Yeah, so Nabokov, how did you even play while you were up here? So you played 8 games and you went 5-1 with 1 shutout. He had 920 save percentage and 2.46, so he was actually playing really well. But he is going to be going back down to the AHL, even though he is listed as a backup, just to give him a chance to maybe win a Calder Cup if that team is doing good down there. I don't even know how good they're simulating without him, because maybe not Nabokov, Vokun's doing well. I'm glad we didn't have to give up Vokun in that trade because I was thinking we'd have to, but we didn't have to. So Andy Moog and Wakaluk. Wakaluk, hopefully you don't get re-injured, please, because I don't want to have to bring guys up and down. And Anton Lundell's actually grown to an 84, so I should probably start giving him some more ice time. Do I move Neil Broughton down to the 4th line? He's playing actually really good on that 2nd line, so... and we don't have morale on. That's probably why Lundell's not getting pissed off. But, yeah, we're going to have to probably... what can we do? Brent Gilchrist is okay as a center, so we'll move Lundell to the 3rd line, maybe, or 2nd line? No, we'll move him to the 3rd line for now. But next season, like, hopefully Broughton retires this year, and then Lundell could be that 2nd line center behind Mike Modano, which would be pretty nice. So we're going to make that quick swap in the lineup just to give Lundell a bit more time on ice. Because even though we don't have morale on, I'd like to play players where they actually should be playing. So Darcy Wakaluk's fully healed. That's good. Hopefully we could get some more wins with Wakaluk in net. We get a shutout in Wakaluk's return. I don't know if he was in net. And we will not claim Paul Cruz. No, thank you. Don't need a physical 4th liner kind of guy. We lose to Montreal, so we're kind of struggling a bit this month, but oh well. Hopefully we still have a winning record at the deadline. So Claude Lapointe of 4th head to Washington from Quebec for a 2nd and a 3rd. So I don't know why Quebec's still trading away players, even though they're having a very good season. Like, it's weird that they're simulating still so well. Like, they have Alexis Lafreniere, but I don't know if he's actually playing in their lineup. Another trade, Sean Chambers and Mike Peluso head to Buffalo for a 1st and a 2nd, and some goaltender prospect, Marone. I don't know if that guy's a real player or not. Germany gets a 1st and a 4th for Peter Stastny. Yeah, Peter Stastny and a 3rd. So Peter Stastny heading to Montreal. Kind of cool that he gets to play with another Quebec-based team like he played with the Nordiques. And Neil Broughton has been injured, so that's not good. Our veteran guy going down. We'll go replace player that I'll put in Stapleton again. The Pens want Stapleton, which is kind of interesting because I think Stapleton actually did play with the Pens at one point in time. I could be wrong with that. We beat Washington. And now another trade has happened. So Dave McCloyne and Evgeny Davidov head to the New York, what team is that? The Rangers probably, for a 1st in Hammerlick, some Hammerlick prospect. Interesting. So Ottawa is definitely offloading on their veterans. I'm surprised they actually got a 1st for somebody like Dave McCloyne, because that Ottawa team back from 1993-94 was pretty bad, and Richard Matvichuk has been injured now, so we are getting hit with injuries again right around the trade deadline, which is not good. Hopefully we could still win games without those guys in the lineup, because then that will show our depth is pretty good. Did we beat Detroit or not? It's taken a while. And another trade, so Vancouver has acquired Greg Hogwood, so they're trading for more defensemen. Damn. Vancouver's got an insane defensive core. And they also acquired Pat Flatley as well for 2 first-round picks. So Vancouver is stocking up and looking to go for that cup like as soon as possible. Calgary has acquired Bruce Cassidy and Gabriel Dumont, an AHLer, for Gomez in a second. Okay. Interesting to see Bruce Cassidy head to the Flames. Neil Broughton is back, which is good, because he is our captain, I'm pretty sure. So there you go. Game against Germany, who's having a pretty good season, I think, at least the last time we saw. Another trade. Holy crap, there's tons of trades every year. 2 seconds to Anaheim for Robert Schwela and Todd Ewan. So San Jose is getting very physical with those two added, because Robert Schwela, for some reason in the simulation, has been putting up a lot of penalty minutes. And another trade. So a first in Jack Quinn, I think it is, head to Anaheim for Sean Van Allen and Patrick Karnbach and Randy Lassadouceur. So it seems like a lot of teams are loading up on players for the playoff run. So hopefully that doesn't hurt us come next season. And another trade, and it's another defenseman heading to Vancouver. Another 2 defensemen. What is Vancouver doing? This is such a stupid simulation almost to an extent. Vancouver has acquired Adam Foote, a 3rd, Dave Karpa, a 5th round pick for Ladipov in 2 seconds and a 3rd. So Vancouver just doesn't care about their picks at all. They're just going for very tough defense. Like, I wonder how good their defensive core is. Like, that's ridiculous. Okay, so right at the trade deadline, we're not going to be making trades at this deadline, I think, because it seems like we're still winning even with our goaltending combination not being the strongest. Wait, where were we in the standings? That's where I wanted to check. So we are currently at 76 points, which is currently 3rd. It's one of the top 10 teams, so that's pretty good. Let's take a look at the trades that happened so far. Yeah, this episode might be even closer to 35 minutes. I really apologize for the length of these episodes sometimes. So there's been a couple other trades. So Tim Thomas, the guy that Philadelphia drafted in this, gets traded to Edmonton with a 3rd round pick for Mike Eagles, a 3rd, and Doug Lidster. And a lot of other trades that we already mentioned that popped up on the screen. Yeah, most of these we've seen so far. Anything we haven't seen? Kevin Lowe heads to Toronto. Ron Tugnutt heads to the Rangers. So Ron Tugnutt's been moved a lot. Sergio Momiso heads to St. Louis, where he actually played for a bit, I'm pretty sure. Mark Janssens heads to Finland. And that's all the trades that happened. So not as much trades this year, but a lot of bigger ones that actually popped up on the screen. And it seems like a lot of teams are just signing some guys to their entry-level deals. Okay, so we can finally get the rest of the season simulated, because this episode is going to be a bit longer. We do have a game against the Canucks, who have literally almost the exact same record as us, surprisingly, even though our defense is nowhere near as good as theirs, because they probably have like guys that are 82 overall in the AHL, which is ridiculous unless they put them on waivers and then they got claimed, which more than likely is the case. So let's go all the way to April the 1st, because we're getting closer to the end of the season. Hopefully we could just keep on winning games and clinch a playoff spot, because we have yet to make it so far in this series. Matt Tkachuk has returned from his injury. I almost forgot he was even injured. How has Ludwig played as a depth guy? Pretty good, actually. +7 in 10 games. So I guess Ludwig is solid enough to still play as a good depth defenseman. Babbage is starting to drop off, so this might be one of his last years, and he has not put up as much points with us, so that's interesting. So maybe he wasn't the greatest fit for this team, but maybe he's helped us still get to the playoffs. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised he hasn't put up as much points as he had with Vancouver. He's probably just not getting as much ice time, or he's not playing with as much skilled forwards as he was there, because when he was in Vancouver, he was playing with like Pavel Bure, the other Courtnall for a bit. Greg Adams was even there for a bit too. So yeah, there was some really good players in Vancouver at that point in time when he was with them. But we are on a winning streak all of a sudden, 7 straight wins, but then we lose to Quebec. But yeah, we're more than likely a playoff team. Yep, we've clinched the playoff spot for the first time in franchise history, I guess you could say. Well, not really franchise history, but if you include the North Stars, but first time in Dallas. And last 3 games of the year, Germany, Winnipeg, and Washington. Should be able to beat some of these guys. We beat Winnipeg and we tie with Washington. So we finished the season 48, 22, 10, and 2. Some teams have 1 game left, so we'll advance a day. So those guys get their games done. So everybody should be done by now. Yep, everybody is done. So let's do a season wrap-up, and then we'll see who we're up against in the first round of the playoffs. Hopefully it's a team we could beat. Okay, so let's go by centers first. So Mike Modano, 93 points this year. He was healthy all year around, so that probably helped out a bit. Yeah, he's 210 points in 210 games, so he's definitely coming into his own a bit. Glad I re-signed him for a long-term contract. Neil Broughton, 50 points, but probably one of his last seasons in the NHL. Pretty good performance from him, even if he's 37. Dean Evason, 45 points. Anton Lundell came over and put up 40 points, so I think he was a very good draft choice for us in this organization. He played 1 year in the AHL last year, played pretty good, and then this year he's been pretty solid, it looks like. Brent Gilchrist, 31 points on the 4th line. Stapleton, 7 points in 5 games as a depth guy. Nice. He's now got 24 points in 95 games. He played 1 full season with us, but he's mostly been a depth guy in his career with us so far, or with both teams he's played with. Heath Acton only played 1 game, but he was in a minus, so that's nice. Left wing wise, Greg Adams had 81 points in 82 games, so he was a very good signing to bring in for this top line, and a plus 30. Dave Gagne, 57 points on that 3rd line, plus 5. Trent Klatt had 48 points and was a plus 15. And Scott Pearson had 19 points and was a plus 2. So I think we definitely made some good off-season moves that definitely helped us out this year as well. Russ Cornell, 80 points and a plus 28. I think that's a bit down, right? No, it's up. So yeah, Russ Cornell's been simulating really well as well. So that top line definitely got us to the playoffs, I think, and that second line. Scott Young, 54 points in 82 games, and Mike Craig, 23 points in 82 games. As for defenseman, Zalapsky, 32 points, and he was a plus 32. Yeah, we have like barely any minus players, but at the start of this episode, we had a lot of minus players, so I think bringing in Dave Babbage must have helped out that a bit. Babbage had 32 points this season, and he actually put up more near the end of the season. Like, he only had 9 points when we literally just checked. And he finished with 18 points and was a plus 17. So I guess that little like run at the end of the season definitely helped these guys out a lot. Cavallini, 22 points. Ledyard, 19. Hatcher, 19 and a plus 27. So a lot better than the previous years. Matt Tkachuk, 17. And Ludwig had 4. As for our goaltending combination, Darcy Wakaluk played really, really well. And Andy Moog actually played pretty solid for his overall. As for the AHL, let's quickly check our goaltender, Nabokov and Vokoun. Actually, I didn't put Nabokov back in the lineup down there. I got to do that still. I'll do that actually after this episode. So Vokoun played actually pretty solid down there, but Nabokov didn't get to play anymore after we sent him down. I forgot to put him in the lineup. I make that mistake too many times. Okay, let's take a quick look at the entire league. Just gloss over it a bit. And then we'll take a look at standings and who we're going up against in the first round. So Brendan Shanahan, 104 points this season, leads the league. Brett Hull was second with 103 points, and Joe Mullen as well with 103 points. So St. Louis and Pittsburgh both playing really well. Best goal scorer this year was Vincent Donfus, Jaromir Jagr, and Mats Sundin, all tied with 47 goals. The best plus-minus player was Mike Keane, who was a plus 49, so Montreal scored a lot. Most penalty minutes was Ray Ferraro and Chris Joseph with 220. Best shooting percentage by a guy that played 82 games was Darren Archibald. Okay, so it's the guy that actually is a player right now, 26.8%. Most game-winning goals, Vinny Donfus. I won't take a quick look at too much of this. Short-handed goals, Marc Messier. Okay, that's cool. How about defenseman? Who led in defenseman points? Brian Leach had 97 points this year, so the Rangers are looking pretty scary. Al McInnes, 86 points. But damn, yeah, Brian Leach is simulating really well. He's got 260 points in 246 games. Damn. As for goaltending, let's see the best goaltenders this year. Patrick Waugh is probably going to win it again. He had the most wins and the least losses. The most shutouts this year, though, was Kirk McLean with 9. Best save percentage by a starter was Curtis Joseph with a 919. And the best goals against by a starter was Patrick Waugh with a 2.41. Okay, let's take a quick look at the standings as well for the 95-96 season. So from our division, it's us, Detroit, Chicago, and St. Louis who made it. So Toronto, Germany, and Winnipeg miss. Interesting. From the Atlantic Division, Philadelphia, the Rangers, and the Devils made it, but nobody else did in that division. Metropolitan, which is technically the Northeast Division, Montreal, Quebec, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and Boston make it, so it's good to see Quebec make it. And the Pacific Division, LA, Calgary, Vancouver, and Russia makes it. Interesting. So we get a European team in the playoffs. The best team in the league was the LA Kings, in terms of wins at least. We were actually second best in the entire league. Wow. Okay, I was not expecting us to be that high up in the standings. We were one of the best offensive teams in the league. And in terms of goals against, we were the best defensive team in the league, even though we had an injury to Darcy Wackluck for like 3 months. So that's actually pretty impressive when you think about it. As for power play percentage, we had a power play that clicked at, where is it? It's pretty good, 20.2%, and our penalty kill 84.4 was also up there. So just a really good season all around. Hopefully that doesn't mean a first round exit though. Okay, so finally let's take a quick look at who we're going up against in the first round, because this episode is already at 32 minutes. Unless I had to make any cuts, I apologize once again for the length. So let's see who we are going up against. So we did get a lot of owner goals done, which is good. We should be listed as a contender now, right? Nope, we're still listed as hopeful. And we're up against Russia in the first round, so hopefully we could actually beat somebody like Russia, because Russia shouldn't be in the playoffs, but they are. I think they're a bit of a mix of old and young guys. So let's take a look at their lineup currently for the Year 3 season. So they have Sergei Berzin, who seems to be growing pretty good, Joe Juno, who they must have picked up in a trade or something, and Alexander Korolyuk. Second line, they have Milan Hajduk, who they drafted 4th overall. They also have Andrei Nikolishin and Alex Selvanov. Third line, Sergei Brilin, Yanni Ozhinin, and Viktor Kozlov. Fourth line, Vladimir Vorobyev. There's too much V's in these last names, holy. Dmitry Nabokov. I don't think he has any relation to Evgeny Nabokov, but I'm pretty sure he passed away a couple years back. So rest in peace, Nabokov. And Alexei Morozov. As for defensemen, Sergei Gonchar seems to be growing pretty well, and he's putting up points. They also have Oleg Tverdovsky, Ruslan Saleh, rest in peace. Carlos Krastins as well, rest in peace, I'm pretty sure. Danny Markov and Maxim Galanov. As for their goaltending combination, they have Nikolai Hebby-Bulin, who looks like he's playing really well, and he's growing really well. Yep. And their backup is Vincent Riendo, the former Boston Bruin. Yep. As for depth guys, they have Andrei Vasilyev and Andrei Nazarov. So they don't really have the greatest depth, but they do have a pretty good team considering they were a European-based team. A lot of the European teams were really bad, but it seems like they've grown pretty well for themselves within the first 3 years. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Dallas Stars franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to round 1 against the Russian Cosmonauts and see if we could get onto the second round for the first time in Dallas Stars history. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time.